an AP update. I'm going to go over everything that he said in this like webinar, and then I'll take any questions you have. He did say that I'd be getting, or we would be getting, more information in the coming days. So I'll answer as many questions as I can. Probably can't answer all of them. I didn't get too much specifics about the AP Chem test. However, I don't know how much he can say about AP Chem. Meaning, like historically, AP US History has like a DBQ and a blah 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 blah. And like English exams have a prose fiction and blah blah. They have certain types of FRQs. AP Chem's FRQs are like the first three are long, the last four are short, and they tend to be all encompassing and go across, especially the long ones, tend to include a variety of units and standards. So I don't know how many updates we'll get with AP Chem, but I'll share some of the slides he had. I'll let you know when your test is. This is like a very poor screenshot, but I can tell you when the test is. I'll share any data and any questions that were asked of him and anything that he had to share. And then those of you that can't tune in, obviously, I'll send a YouTube video out going over all this as soon as I can. So let me make that quick announcement and then I'll get started. We'll send video ASAP if you miss it. So, you should be able to see my screen. Yep. So you've probably been reading so far. As we know, these AP exams will be taken at home or taken at school, depending on when schools reopen. We just want to say that because some schools across the nation have already closed for the rest of the year. As of now, we are going to be open when the exam is given. So theoretically, you would be taking this AP test at school, and we will coordinate that when we get there. That being said, I'm just going to share all the information that we just got and then leave it open for questions. So there are going to be, maybe I can just make this bigger. There we go. There's going to be two FRQs. There'll be one 25-minute question, and then you'll have a period somewhere when that timer expires of 5 minutes to upload it. There will be one 15-minute question, and then you'll be given another 5 minutes to upload your answer there. He said to just keep in mind that since you're taking this at home, not you, we should be in school, but in the event that you are taking it at home, there is no proctor and there will be a timer on the device you're taking it on. So there'll be a timer on your screen keeping track, which is probably no different than how we took a test. So I didn't really give you any reminders of like 10 minutes left, 5 minutes left, whatever. I made you guys self-time. So that shouldn't feel any different for you. He just wanted to stress that because some people might be used to having a proctor. You may write or type your responses and you have to upload them either way. So if you type, so if you're using a computer, a laptop, desktop, etc., you can type it in a Word document like I have open here and then save it and upload it. Or you can write it on paper, which I'm going to guess most of my students will choose since we do a lot of math and we do a lot of reasoning and we have to show a lot of work. And then you'll have to take a picture of it and then upload it. And I'll go over a question that was asked about that later. He did want to remind you guys that prompts on phones can be small, which means you might have to do some scrolling to see all the questions, versus a laptop or a desktop with a decent-sized screen might be both easier to read and easier to navigate. They did confirm that you can use Google, you can use your notes, you can use a textbook, etc. They don't believe this will put any of you at an advantage because it will take away from time. However, the only thing they will not allow is using any other person in some capacity to help you, whether that person is helping you take it or giving you answers or whatever. Basically, you're still taking it alone, but it's open note, open book, open internet. Security measures that they have put into place, they did not divulge all of their security measures, but they did say that before you start, you are going to be answering a series of questions to help detect impersonation. Any student that gets caught will be reported to all colleges, not even necessarily the college you choose to go to, but any school that you've sent any scores to. So any College Board related score, whether that's PSAT, SAT, or AP scores, if you get caught, they're going to notify all of those schools. And then thirdly, they'll be actually giving teachers, they've never done this before, copies of your work for us to evaluate. So I'm going to ask you very simply, don't put me in a tough spot of having to say, nope, this kid cheated, this kid does not deserve AP credit. Just do yourself a favor and take this test honestly, because if I need to do that, I'm not going to feel too great. So like I said earlier, this screenshot is kind of hard to read. These are the 2 dates and times that they are offering the exam. That June 2nd date I'll comment on in a minute. That is not, oh my God, I do not feel ready for May 14th. So please keep that in mind. That has nothing to do with, go away. That has nothing to do with, I just want to have more time. To put your mind at ease, they said that like all the Texas public schools, all of the Florida schools, and they shared this, like if the University of California system was willing to accept this credit, then chances are most colleges are going to accept this credit based on how they would accept it to begin with. So just to give an example, just because you get a 5 on AP Chem doesn't mean you're going to get tested out of chemistry at Harvard. Harvard pretty much says, we only give you credit if you get a 5. You'll get credit of some kind, but you won't necessarily test out of things. So check with your schools. Chances are, whatever they're advertising on their website and publicly in previous years will be honored for this exam this year. And if you're not sure, I made you guys contact your schools anyway, so feel free to contact any schools you're interested in. This is the full AP schedule. I don't even think zooming in is going to make this easier to read. So I'm going to say just wait until this comes out tomorrow, and then it'll be easier to read. Just at least for the times. But if you can read it, we got Physics C on Monday, U.S. Government in the afternoon, then Tuesday's Latin, both calculuses, and then Human Geography, etc., etc. I'm not going to read all these to you. You can look that up later. The reason they went with this date is they surveyed some number of AP students, and a majority of them wanted it around this date range. And so that's the date range you got. It's May 11th through May 22nd. The later it was, the worse it was. We have to keep in mind that maybe for New York schools, this might have been preferred, but schools in the South start in August and get out in late May/early June. So chances are we had a large majority of kids in other parts of the country saying, June is no bueno. You must take the test on the initial date given. You must coordinate with myself and our AP coordinator to get to makeup day, and it's reserved for students that run into conflicts or issues. So let's say you're taking it home and your Wi-Fi goes out, or your phone dies, or you run out of data, or something goes wrong. It needs to be reported immediately so that we can get that makeup test date. And I'll get more details on those eligible for the test makeup date later. This one was important. Whatever device you use to retrieve the questions is the device you must use to upload the answers to those questions. Meaning, if you handwrite it and you take a picture of your answers on your phone, but you pulled up the questions on your computer, you will have to take a picture of it with your phone, send the questions to your computer, and then upload it to the whatever College Board system. So if you are not technically inclined and you know things tend to go wrong when you're using technology, I would say do not have 2 devices. Pick one device and go with it. That is going to be an issue, I think, for chemistry and especially math and physics students, because chances are you're going to want to handwrite and you'll probably want to take the picture on your phone. And they said earlier that the prompts on your phone aren't like big and easy to read. So I'm just going to leave that there. It's going to be your decision. I'm not going to make it for you. Students with accommodations. So the only one they spoke specifically to was those that get extra time. So I don't know other accommodations how they would handle it, but extra time tends to be the most popular accommodation. If you're in the system for College Board, it will automatically feed into the AP exam, and then your time will automatically be adjusted for you for each question. So for example, a lot of students have access to double the amount of time per question. So for this chemistry test, you would have 50 minutes and 30 minutes instead of 25 and 15. That being said, you have to be in College Board system. If you have not, I guess I should say, asked College Board or applied for it or whatever you need to do, you may not get access to it. So if you normally get accommodations during the school day on a school test and you never went through it with College Board, you might want to start checking into that now. They did say, and again, you can always double check with your guidance counselor and with College Board, but they did say if you've taken the SAT or any other College Board test where you were given those accommodations, it's automatically ready to go. And last but not least, you need to let me know ASAP if you do not plan on taking the exam, because I need to coordinate that with the school, coordinate that with your family so you can get your money back, take you off my list, which means the coordinator needs to go to AP, like College Board's website, take you off my roster, etc. It's not as simple as not showing up. Not showing up is not taking the exam. If you're on my roster, you're going to have a test ready to go, and you just wasted a lot of your time, my time, and money just skipping the test. So if you do not plan on taking it, let me know ASAP. This is the only time they're ever going to offer it. So sophomores in AP Chem, don't go into AP Physics next year thinking, oh, I can just not take the test. Saratoga policy is you sign up for an AP class, you take the AP exam. So let me know what you're thinking. That's all the updates I have. Questions? Send me questions on Remind now, if you have any. And like I said earlier, a bigger update, maybe not so a bigger update, but they're going to make all this public tomorrow, and I'm sure there'll be some specifics for AP Chemistry, hopefully some guidance on the FRQs. But really, I'm not predicting any, just because there's not a traditional question type on the AP Chemistry FRQs. So like I said earlier, if you joined late, U.S. history and like world history always have a DBQ. And your English exams have like a prose fiction FRQ and a non-fiction FRQ and etc. AP Chem, the FRQ covers the AP Chem curriculum in any particular order, etc. So the only thing I can think of that maybe they will tell us about is, since this is just so drastically different, 2 FRQs. Normally your test is like 60 multiple choice and 7 FRQs. Now you're taking a 40-minute test, maybe really 50-minute, we have that 5 minutes to upload, in 2 FRQs. So maybe they'll give us a little guidance about what they could be. Maybe just saying like, prepare your students to have like a lab-based FRQ. I really don't know. I don't have the answers to that yet. I just have like the general update and specifics about when your test is, etc. So I'm going to give you 1 more minute for questions, and if I don't get any, I'm out of here. All right, so questions, please go. Text me on Remind, please go. Do you have any questions? Yes, ask. Okay, so kind of a few there's like multiple questions in this overall large question. Let me answer a few of them. I don't grade you. I will not grade your work. What I will do is get copies of your work. So I'll be able to see what you did. So if you were to, let's say, have someone else take the test and you hand wrote stuff, I would look at it and go, well, that doesn't look like this kid. So now you're putting me through the pains of having to report you instead of just taking it honestly. I really don't want to be the one standing in the way of you getting credit because you cheated. The test is open internet. So if you use the internet to your advantage and you happen to do better than you, let's say, performed historically in class. So let's say like you took the midterm and you were like, I got a really high 2, and the whole school year you've been like clearly getting a 2, maybe a 3 if you work a little bit harder, and you use the internet to your advantage and you get a 4 or 5, that's fine. They just said you can do that. I think the problem is if we're banking on that, and you can ask other students that have at least had me before, open note partner tests tend to be really hard. So I don't want to say this test is going to be really hard, and I don't have any answers to your questions about the difficulty of this test because we have been working since September, and we as teachers have been preparing you to take a test as advertised, and this is just simply not the advertised test. So I have no idea. What I can say historically, especially talking to engineering majors, because a lot of engineers actually do have open note exams in college. Open note tests tend to be harder than the regular test. So I'll just leave it at that. That being said, if you find a way to Google things beautifully and you crush it on this test, I don't grade it anyway. I cannot grade your AP tests. I can't even grade your Regents tests. I'm not allowed to grade my own students whatever standardized test you're talking about, AP, Regents, etc. So if you use the internet and you do great, fine. If you make me question that it's your work, I'm going to be very upset. And that's all I can really say. They just said open notes. So someone was like, what if I don't use my notes? I use someone else's notes. Something tells me they're not going to ask you to upload the notes you're using. So if you know that you took the worst notes of all time and your friend has beautiful notes, as long as you're taking it alone, no one else is in the room, no one is taking it for you, and right now you say to yourself, it's April 2nd, my notes suck, I'm going to go get my friend's notes and copy them down, or just make copies of them so I have them as my notes, that's fine. What's not fine is your friend takes the test and then sends you pictures of the test, or your friend is next to you in the room, or someone is helping you in any way, shape, or form. Don't ask me how they're going to catch any cheating. That's on them. I'm going to tell you, please don't put me in a position to evaluate if you've cheated, as highlighted in number 3. So if and they said this directly, if you have been getting low scores the whole year and all of a sudden you get a 5 on this AP exam, you're putting me in a bad position. I don't want to be in that position. Just take it honestly and not worry about putting your teacher in a position of evaluating if you're cheating. No one wants to do that. I definitely don't want to do that. But if you put me there, if you think you can work the system and you're forcing me to now say, especially the sophomores who will still be in the building next year, and I run into you, and now I have to go like, why'd you have to cheat, bud? Why'd you have to make me think that you cheated? Just don't cheat. I mean, again, I don't even know if you're going to have enough time. 25-minute open note FRQ to me says this is going to be tough. So just don't cheat, period. That being said, any questions about using Googling notes or textbooks, they're letting you do it. They're saying, go ahead, use the internet. You can look stuff up. What they did not say was, and I'm sure during these exams, they're going to be putting an abundance of resources on the internet. I will guarantee they'll have someone on Reddit, someone on Twitter, someone on any possible forum where answers and questions could be shared, because he said it directly in this meeting we had. Basically, he knows there's going to be students out there who are going to, he didn't say troll, but troll, and just immediately get the question and try to find ways to put it online. Just don't try to avoid that, because not only if I catch you, I'm going to be upset and you're going to be upset. If they catch you, they're going to report any and all colleges you will ever apply to ever. So if that's a risk you're willing to take, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take that risk at all. But any other questions? All right. I'm going to head out then. If you have any questions as you watch the video, please let me know. Goodbye.